How can I get my kids involved in decluttering their rooms before school starts? I'm overwhelmed with all of this stuff that they have accumulated. When it comes to children and dealing with clutter, decluttering, I consider to be a lifelong skill. The earlier you learn it, the better, and it's never too late to learn how to declutter. I mean, hello to everybody who's learning to declutter later in life, right? That's the majority of our groups. But when you have children, you have an awesome opportunity to teach them this life skill. And I like to look at decluttering when it comes to teaching kids stuff, the same as I look at any other chore: how to do the dishes, how to do the laundry, how to cook for yourself. These are lifelong skills that you're going to need. Decluttering is basically a daily chore. If there is stuff coming into your house, there needs to be stuff going out of your house, right? That's a basic principle that we teach in Cluttered Boot Camp. You have to live within the space that you have. The only way that you can live within the space that you have, if you're continuing to bring stuff in, is to continue to let things go. So just starting to use this language with children is really helpful. I also think in the broader context of life, when you teach a child to declutter, what you're really teaching them is how to make decisions and how to assess what is most important to them. So when you teach a child how to declutter, you're really saying, what do you value of the things that you own the most and why? And those are very translatable skills. As they get older, they're able to look at potential significant others and say, I'm looking for this list of characteristics. I value this and not that. They feel okay letting go of things. That sense of loss, they learn how to deal with it early in life. And that is a gift that you are giving to your children. So a lot of times, we think of decluttering as taking away or a loss, or a chore that's just arduous. Think about it when it comes to teaching your kids how to declutter as a gift that you're giving them. You are empowering them with a life skill that not only is going to help them with their clutter in the future, but it's going to help them in all other areas of their life. And that is a gift. That is a gift. Now, helping your kids understand how much space they actually have is really important. And depending on their age, that really, they can be more or less involved in the process. My children are 15 and 17. They do their own decluttering. I don't help them. I want to, but I know it's a boundary and I know that they have the skills, and maybe they choose to keep more than I would in one case. But I know that the foundation is there and they have executive ownership over their stuff. And as long as their bedrooms are kept pretty well, and they're not drowning in things, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. There's a little give and take. When my kids were younger, I definitely talked to them about things coming in and things going out. So if they wanted to buy a stuffed animal, we would talk about how, do we have space for this? Is it going to fit? Does it have a home in your bedroom? Does it have a spot to live? Because if something comes into your house and it doesn't have a space where it is going to stay, where it's going to live, if it doesn't have a home, it's already clutter. If something comes into your house and it does not have a designated space to be kept, it is already clutter. So it's very important that we talk through these things beforehand. With my children, I would often say, we talk about, do we have money for something, right? That's a common thing that we all talk to our children about. We can't afford this. We can afford this. Maybe we can budget for this. Maybe you can save part of your allowance for this. Do we have money for this? Do we have time for this? Are we bringing in something that is going to take a lot of our time to take care of it? Are we committing to something, to an obligation that's going to take a lot of time? I mean, we talk about this with sports and extracurricular activities. We can talk about it with stuff also. And do we have space for this? This is the third parameter that needs to be discussed. Do we have space for this? Specifically, do you in your bedroom have space for this item? And if not, before we can bring it in, assuming we have the money for it, assuming we have the time to take care of it, We have to make the space for it. And the only way to make the space for something new in life is to let go of something that is no longer serving you, no longer relevant, something you no longer love. And it is okay that you loved this thing in the past and now you have grown and changed and you don't love it anymore. Pass it along to somebody else who is going to love it. And the great thing with kids, it's so easy to donate their stuff there. It's so easy to pass it along to other children. It's not like as adults, sometimes, we have dishes from our great grandmother, and, there's not a big market for that right now, possibly. With children's toys, it is so easy to find another kid who is going to love those toys. So passing it along is very easy. So, really get into the habit of teaching your kids, do we have time for this? Do we have space for this? Do we have money for this? Those are the three questions. And then, if they are in a very cluttered environment, find a way to make it easy and fun to start decluttering. Another thing I did with my kids when they were younger is I would do, let's reduce by 10%, right? So if we have more pants than fit into our drawer, can we lay out 10 pairs of pants and pick one that you don't love? That's 10%. Same thing with stuffed animals or Lego sets or Polly Pockets or whatever the toy is right now. I'm not actually up to speed on children's toys right now, but whatever it is, can we let go of just 10%? Make it fun. Don't act like it's a huge burden, right? You dictate the mood. So as a parent, you're dictating the mood. Um, and get them involved in that way. Can we just reduce a little bit at a time? Another thing that you can do is just give them a box. Say, can you fill this up with things that you don't love? Give them a bag. Can you fill this up with things that you don't love anymore? Can we play the MINS game together? Can we get one item out today? Each of us bring your one item down. Tomorrow, bring your two items down. The next day, bring your three items down. Make it a fun family challenge. Those are my best tips, I think, for getting kids involved. This is your starting point, right? Moving forward, we're using new language, we're setting an example in a different way, and don't beat yourself up for how things are. Make a change moving forward. There is a little bit of identity involved with decluttering all the time. So when I was really shifting to a decluttered lifestyle, and actually anytime that I make a shift as a parent, I always say your new mom is this way, right? So I would like your new mom expects you to clean up after yourself every time you leave the table, right? Your old mom didn't, but new mom, new mom says you have to do this. And I think embracing that identity shift with it doesn't have to necessarily be with children, but just in general, I used to be a decluttered person. Now or I used to be a cluttered person. Now I'm a decluttered person. So your decluttered mom, your decluttered wife, your decluttered friend, and even if you're just talking to yourself, decluttered just doesn't live this way anymore. All right. So shifting your identity, changing the way you refer to yourself, and helping your kids along can be really, really powerful. So, those are my long winded tips on what to do if your children's room is very cluttered right now. If you have anything that's been successful in the past, go ahead and pop it into the comments for sure. And I often get a question related to this. Can I throw out my kids' stuff? So I want to just a word of caution. And if you have done this in the past, this is judgment free always. Throwing out your children's stuff, the older they get, the more tricky this becomes. We have many, many people in our clutter boss communities who have experienced as children coming home to a bedroom empty of stuff, moving and losing all of their stuff, somebody throwing out something very significant to them. And I believe that this can be a trigger of hanging on more tightly to things as an adult. I always encourage you to get your kids involved, no matter what age. Occasionally, there is a little wiggle room if the kids are younger and they have trash and that you're cleaning up their room and you're just throwing out some stuff, or if you know they're not going to miss something and you kind of put it away for a little while and see if they ask for it. Those type of things, you're going to make a judgment call then. But the older they get, the more important it is that you involve them in this process. Oh, and I remember what I was going to say before. If your kids choose to let go of something, Do not stand in the way of them letting that go. Do not go through their bags of stuff to make sure they're not throwing out something that you want to keep. Be very clear that this is it's their stuff. This is their decluttering. If they choose to let it go, don't go through it and say, well, oh, are you sure? Do you want to keep this? If you feel like that will happen, then maybe get your significant other involved or just don't be around when they're doing it. If there are specific things you really don't want them to let go of, be clear that that's coming from you and just say it beforehand. Like, make sure you don't let go of the dress that you need for church or, whatever. But just make sure you're not standing in the way of the decluttering process. So sometimes our own emotions can get involved with our kids' stuff, and that's a tricky area to navigate, but you can do it because you are a boss. You are a boss. Okay.